what's going on, guys? We're actually here at M&R where they manufacture all our screen printing equipment. I think in the screen printing industry, there's a lot of screen printers, right? But there's only a few screen printer manufacturers in the industry, and M&R is the leading one. So you guys can kind of tell if you guys see like our in-house videos where you'll see like the blue machinery, that's an M&R machine. I think a big thing in the industry is that whatever machine you get, it's like a different color, right?
Everything's branded a different color.
Yeah. Money Merch is an official M&R shop, so we're gonna do a tour with them. We got Blake and Alvaro today.
Glad to Chicago. We here.
We're officially in Chicago. Let's do it, man. What does it take to get an office here?
Just waiting for someone to die.
Yeah. All right. Someone's got to die, and do I have to hit like a sales like a goal or something?
That'd help.
Yeah.
Or you might be the next person to grace the vacancy.
Perfect. All right.
This is M&R's corporate headquarters and main manufacturing facility. There's 339,000 square feet. Offices, manufacturing, warehousing. We have approximately 30 engineers on site here. We've got manufacturing engineers, electrical engineering and mechanical engineers. We also have additional engineers in Poland, and in our northeast we have some of our digital engineering staff. So we'll start off today, we'll do a tour of the manufacturing facility, show you what we do here, and we'll move into the showroom, show you some of the specific pieces of equipment. So let's go. We utilize a visual management system. Every morning at 9:30 all of our lead supervisors from production, just for safety, quality, production, staffing. So it's like getting everybody on the same page every day. It's a 15-minute stand-up meeting. It's really been beneficial in improving efficiency. It's our welding department. Much like you would do in a printing environment, the welders will get a build sheet. Someone will come out here, everything's barcoded, so they'll be able to pick their orders and put together what they need to assemble whatever's on the order. Now, one of the things I always find interesting here, we have approximately 30 welders. We have 3 robotic automatic welders. We have about 30 manual welders, and the air in this part of the building is the cleanest air in the whole factory. But these air scrubbers are located all around the building. They turn the air over multiple times a minute to keep the air clean. These 2 robots can work together, they work in tandem. So when you see the 2 of them, the table there can lift and lower, it can orientate, it can tilt. We do mild steel welding, we do stainless steel welding. We don't do any aluminum welding here. This is one of our assemblies here for the carousel of either a gauntlet pour or a cobra press. And what's interesting, when you see these working, when we used to manually weld these, we'd have 2 welders working on them. I'd be welding here, you'd be directly opposite. Then we would index 90 degrees. So you'd have 2 guys for about 8.5 hours to do an assembly like this. When they put it in the robot, do it in about 90 minutes. So 8.5 hours back to 90 minutes.
Wow. What was the turning point where they decided, hey, like, let's make it this specific blue?
I think it was something to do with when Rich Hoffman first started the company. He looked at the different colors. This shade of blue was a color that was less prone to showing in the inks.
So this is where all the blue is being painted, right?
Yeah. We do 2 processes. This kind of it's a gloss shiny color. Well, we do that as a base coat, and we put a hammer tone over the top of it. These are finished and have had, if you look at the difference in the surface, this hammer tone will cover up any real minor blemishes, sanding, grinding marks. Almost everything we make is made to order. The different voltages a machine has, different number of colors, stations, configuration. There's so many different combinations. You build something for stock, you're not going to have it. So almost everything we build is built to order. So what that means, we do a lot of small batch setup in our machining area. You'll see as you walk through the small quantities. So we do multiple setups on each machine, multiple setups per day. So
you guys don't allocate one machine to say this one makes the Cobra and this one makes the Gauntlet. No, they can all universally.
Okay. You look here, you might be doing 60 pieces. We don't have the benefit of setting the machine up and letting it run run for days, one item. Now these are our Uniport machines, our large format flatbed CNC machines. And you have these, the advantage we have, they can do an entire carousel in one setting. So not that they have to do half the carousel and index it to do the second half. Everything's done in one setting, down to 0.3 of a thousand tolerance.
So this is to ensure accuracy and speed?
Accuracy. Now what's interesting here, we have 2 of these units, we don't need 2 of these milling machines, but we always need 1. So Rich, once we made the investment, put 2 of them in for redundancy, so we'd always have 1 up and running. They're really the heartbeat of our carousel manufacturing process.
It's making the carousel, but it's ensuring it's consistent with its measurements. They have 2 of these. They only need 1, but they got to have a backup to make sure production never stops. So kind of seems like why we have M&R is for its reliability. From the manufacturing process to the print process, they really care about it being always operable, so the production never stops.
This is our Puma large format lathe. That's where we do the rollers, our dryers, the center carousel hubs and everything.
Oh wow.
Or the belt wraps around for the dryers.
The thick piece.
That's a very big piece. Peter, a lot of the operators cross-trained, they work multiple machines, and there's always someone per specific machine.
Yeah, particularly in the area where we walked in that all of the CNC milling machines, people have the ability to work multiple machines, sometimes multiple machines at the same time, depending on the cycle time. So they may set up one, get it running, go to the next one, work 2 machines. It's all about efficiency. We bring about 3 truckloads of steel and aluminum into the facility each week. If it's coming in full bundle quantity, it can be used within about 48 hours. I'll take it straight through the saws, and you see they've got a full bundle there. They'll go through, they'll cut that. They're going to use it in less than full bundle quantity. They'll stage it on these racks here and take just the pieces they need.
A lot of material.
This is a Trump tube laser. They can put a full bundle of steel on here. It'll take the piece of steel, will orientate it to the right direction. The steel tubing always has a weld on one side of it, so they'll specify what side they want the weld seam to be. It'll measure the steel, it'll check it for accuracy. If it passes it, they'll take it to the next thing and load it up. And then come in through here, and it'll take raw steel, not only cut it to length, but all these holes, it's all done by lasers.
So the raw material that's coming in is being inspected by these lasers to ensure that it can be used for the equipment.
Yeah, to make sure that it doesn't have any twists or bends in it. It's just within the specifications of what we've ordered.
And with the material that's not approved, do you guys send it back, or you guys use it for other?
No. Fortunately, we've got some very long-term relationships with local steel mills and with steel providers. They know what we need, and I don't think we get much that's out of spec. Sure. These are our flatbed lasers. So here he can cut sheet flat steel up to 3/4 of an inch thick. This is print head assembly and sub-assembly. In the sub-assembly area, you've got a whole series of benches that are dedicated to a specific component. You've got an operator. Each bench has got its own either pneumatic or electric tools to set the right tensions, the right torque settings. They'll have the right Loctite materials. And the people are all cross-trained. They can move from one station to the next. And their job is to keep these stations supplied along here, so the people that are assembling don't have to walk more than 10 feet to get something.
They don't stop.
And then once an arm is started, they put on this oval base. He can turn 180 degrees, so he's always working in a down position, not having to. Now, what's interesting, we don't assemble the heads onto the machine when we build the machine. We build the print heads, and they have a simulator that they connect the printhead up to. It'll mimic all of the operations of the head when it's on the press. And then on the press base, we'll see they have a simulator that goes onto the press in place of the print head that mimics all the operation of the head. So the first time the print heads and the base of the press meet is at your shop. First time they go together.
There's obviously improvement over time. What I've noticed is the consistency and the quality of the product. You guys don't need to make too many changes. You guys have had a lot of the same systems for a while, maybe changes in interface, but because there's so much consistency in the quality, there's no need to really tamper with it too much, right?
Yeah, we did make some fairly significant changes with the launch of the Cobra range of presses. The Cobra presses originally started off as they were going to be an upgrade to the Sportsman, which had been one of our longest standing machines, but we kind of went right back to the drawing board, built the Cobra from the ground up, and then we built the Gauntlet 4. So I'd say now I think we're going to be good for the near long term, about not having to reinvent the wheel.
Very, very modern press.
So their technology's pretty advanced in the sense that they don't need to be upgrading their machines every year. Over time, they've just kind of nailed it down to, what works. And like you said, they don't need to reinvent the wheel because there's been no issues. Quality's consistent. So that's why they're the leading equipment manufacturer for screen printing right now.
I mean, some of our presses, I think the earliest press we have is a 2004, and it runs just like it did the first day it came out of this place. So it's a testament to quality and everything else.
So this is the parts department to ship.
Parts department. I'd like to talk about the DNA of a company. What happens here, we've got about $3.5 million worth of parts in here. If manufacturing needs a part, they have to go through a request and allocation process. And the parts department manager looks at what his stock is, and obviously if he can spare it, he'll pass off to manufacturing. But it's the parts department call. If they feel they have to keep it, or if it's already been allocated to a customer, the parts department rules. But the parts department can go out into manufacturing and they can just take anything from manufacturing, even to the point we've had it where they've taken parts off machines that are being completed because the founder of the company, his whole philosophy was the people that buy new equipment from me are really important, and the only people more important are the people that already have our equipment. So getting a driver to you so you can get up and running and printing was more important than it was for the new customer.
That's probably my favorite part about having your guys' equipment is it could be cut off time, but I can call and they always make it happen. They might not have the inventory on hand in the parts section, but if they have a machine that's got the part, they'll pull it off that first to make sure that the existing customers never stop running their production. So that just shows a testament to your dedication and commitment to all of your customers.
There's no other companies doing that in this field. No one else can do that.
What did you guys think of that factory tour?
It was amazing.
That was amazing.
Ever been in a manufacturing facility like that before?
Not of that caliber, no.
No? Well, now you're going to see the showroom, so this is what it all looks like when it's finished. So we've got pretty much most of the presses and different products that we make here in the showroom. So take it all in. We're going to start with a Polaris demo for you, but I want everyone to come over here and just take a look at this wall. If you start all the way to the left here, you're going to see our original M&R logo, and it's kind of got this old school like Wrigley Field, White Sox type look. These are all AI generated images, okay? So we use them to kind of show the evolution of not only M&R, but Chicago. Chicago and M&R are always tightly knit. We are an American manufacturing company based here in Chicago, kind of a rare thing, which we really like to celebrate. So that's kind of how we did it up on the wall there with those murals. You're gonna see all sorts of different presses, dryers, digital equipment. We've got digital squeegee. We've got some of our latest and greatest technology, the Gauntlet 4 running right here. You'll get a demo on this later, but let's go into what we call the Joe Clark Center, the JCC, for a Polaris demo. Our Polaris is in here. We do all of our customer demos. When we're working on a new prospect, we'll bring customers in here. We'll work with Mike Beckman to develop their artwork on whatever blanks they're printing. Make sure, gain confidence that the Polaris is printing, the quality on the substrates that you need. So we do all that development work in here with Mike Beckman.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we run around the shirts? We can follow the machine around. You can see each little unit.
While Mike's getting set up, the Polaris is our high-speed industrial DTG platform. Why do people need this huge, massive, expensive piece of equipment? You can print one-offs, unlimited colors, and know exactly what those costs are. So as a screen printer, you'll look at a 12-color print, and if someone says, can you do 12 colors, 36 pieces, you might say no to that, right? Like, it's really hard to make money on an order like that. With Polaris, no problem. The cost of one is the cost of 1,000. It's all the same. So as Mike's loading shirts here, I'll take you around the system. The main benefit is speed. This system can print 200 unique images an hour on all sorts of different fabric. Every image can be different, every shirt can be different. And we start here at the operator station, and we took a lot of what we learned about screen printing and incorporated it into this machine. So you're gonna see the first step is we do a heat press. And you guys are used to that in the screen print world. Just gets you a nice uniform substrate that's ready for step 2, which is the pre-treat. And you can see in here the pre-treat spraying on the shirt. And then the next step is moves down here. We flash the shirt. We flash the shirt again. You guys know this. When you flash a shirt, the fibers tend to stand up. So we will press the shirt one more time here. And then we go to 3 cool down stations as we approach the white print engine. So we're gonna go around 1, 2, 3 cool down stations. Now that the shirt has had a minute to cool down, you're gonna see the white or the underbase get printed. So you've got your white coming out, and then we're gonna flash it to do a semi-cure on it. That gets it ready to receive the CMYK. After we do the flash, there's an optional third heat press. We're not using that for these designs. And then we go into the CMYK. So this is the color engine, and you'll see this is gonna come out right here.
Hopefully I haven't run off the shirt making them so big. I think I'm okay.
So let him get a shot of that.
Nice bright weight, good detail.
With like a little cool distressed effect. So that's like a kind of a photorealistic, lots of different colors in there. That would be tough. The detail on the lenses of the goggles is the coolest part.
Yeah.
Lots of color, lots of detail, really good resolution.
And the idea here is you are able to do true one-offs at a very high speed. You eliminate separations. You're not burning screens. You're not setting up screens. You're not tearing down, and you're not reclaiming. So we take all of that pre and post press labor out of the process. So this can all be done with one operator. You can load and unload from right here. Take a look at all the information that we're giving you. So this is the HMI that is controlling the indexing and the base, but then you can also see live what the speed of the printer is, what images are on each pallet, and it'll follow it around. So it knows exactly what is where. Over here, you're able to bring your art in from your server, and you're able to manipulate recipes. You'll notice that there's a barcode scanner here. So a lot of people that are doing, print on demand one-offs, they're using barcoding in their workflow, which really streamlines. That way you're not having to stop, set up, okay, I'm gonna use these settings for this shirt, I'm gonna use those settings for that shirt. It's all just lives in the barcode. That way your operator is just loading shirts, unloading shirts, putting them on the dryer.
Basically, you have setup, so that's going to say how long it takes to set up. So it's helping you basically diagnose where your inefficiencies are. You have this, just tear down. So again, you can see what's taking longer, your tear down, your setups. This is if you have to stop for any reason that's registration wise. So let's say you've run for an hour and all of a sudden registration starts drifting. That's just to mark it down right there. This is an ink stoppage. Again, same thing. Anytime you're stopping, you're wanting to basically write down why that's happening, but instead of having the operator stop, it's easier to just go through that. This is if there's a screen problem. Let's say something popped. I don't know, we use roller frames, so sometimes you'll lose tension, things like that. This is for preheat pallets. So you can see the majority of our time is spent preheating pallets. That's because when we print water-based, we want our pallets at a certain temperature. And the setups aren't usually that long because you're only tri-locking 3 screens, 4 screens maybe. And it's pretty close to being dialed in. Like anything else, nothing's perfect, so you always have to do a little bit of microing. Garment stoppage, if you're having to do a long run and, let's say it's 6,000 pieces, and you're looking at the numbers and you're noticing people are running at 600, 700 pieces an hour, but they're still not getting that production. Why is that? Is it the ink? Is it the shirts? It's just something to be able to base it on. Break time. So this will help people say, okay, how long did you really go on break for, rather than just looking at your phone real quick and saying, okay, I was gone for around a half hour. This is for pallet peel. This is actually pretty crazy because a lot of people, they have an assumption of how long pallet peel takes, but it actually takes a lot longer than you think. And then this is just for anything else. Let's say there's something happens mechanically with the press, that can be there. So that's basically, it's going off of the machine name, the operator name, and then the order number. So if you ever wanted to replace this, you would just change your order number. So if I'm gonna start printing, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the DS. So it is a DS, so it's water-based. So how the DS works, it's totally water-based. So you're gonna print your first screen is gonna be basically a base for your second screen, which is your tie coat. It's traditional high solid water base. So it's not, it can be a discharge, but in this instance, we're using our screen white, which is just a more opaque ink. We're gonna flash it, and you'll notice our flashes are much different for plastisol than they are for water-based. Water-based, we have a little bit more time. The percentage of the flash is lowered a little bit so that we're not turning on and off and on and off. We just kind of wanna keep it at a normal temperature. Then we're using the hot head just to kind of smooth it out. The hot head is also acting as a cool down, because if you don't have a cool down with water-based, it's possible to print, but it's super, super difficult because, again, if you're gonna start cooking plastisol after a print flash print, just imagine what that's gonna do to water-based. These screens right here are open. We have a plastisol job set up around it, but let's theoretically say you were printing on polyester. That first screen, instead of being a white, would be a blocker, right? And then this would be your second white. Again, since we're printing water-based, high solid, we're gonna flash it, and then we're gonna have what's called a tie coat. So the tie coat is what's the most important part of the process, because the tie coat is specifically formulated to receive the CMYK digital inks. If you tried using a regular high solid ink, what happens is once the digital squeegee would print and spray onto it, instead of holding your dot, it's gonna start moving left to right. You're gonna have no detail, and basically the ink's gonna run everywhere. This is a high solid ink. It's formulated a little bit differently. The viscosity is a little bit higher, but it still has, you know, open time properties. We print directly after the screen. So if you're noticing, we're not flashing afterwards. That's why that preheat temperature is so important, especially with this process, because you want to gel the ink enough that this is going to be receptive. If it's too wet, it's going to bleed. If it's too dry, it's going to bleed too. It sounds a little bit more, you know, important than it is, but it's just a way to say, hey, this is the optimal. Then we move on to the DS. So it's 16 print heads, CMYK. So we're creating the base, and then this is managing all of our colors on top. Right now, this is the software that runs it. You can see we have a job loaded up. Kind of see it's in millimeters, but basically you can reference it. So for example, you see this one has a setting of, you know, 0.85 and a head height of 0. Everything is going to change. So you can see over here, this one's changing, that one's changing. So what you can do is every job, let's say you have to zero it in or dial it in a little bit more, it saves that information. So when you drag it back in, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to re-register it, if that makes sense. Pretty straightforward. If I'm getting ready to print, I'm just gonna hit this notebook, make sure I got my print count, registration, car height, and then I'm ready to go. I'm actually gonna hit print right now. So it's gonna turn on the degassing module, and then you're gonna see it's ready to print. So the only time this is gonna print is when this is specifically on, and then on the HMI you have it programmed on as well. On an 18 color press, for example, you have the option for either a special effect or spot color. So there's certain colors that CMYK can't hit, right? So fluorescents, really rich saturated colors. Neons, right. That's where you would put them in here, right? So you'd be able to print a spot color, flash it, cool down, and then your top coat. So then we're hitting it with a hot head to smooth everything out. So this is the tie coat. The ink is a little bit different in terms of its opacity and its viscosity. You can see this one has a little bit of a thicker body. It's still able to stay open, but that viscosity is really what's helping the digital squeegee ink stick to the digital squeegee screen ink. So once we go over here, we'll see it start to print, and we'll go from there. So it's printing in both directions too. So it's printing in this direction, it's coming back, printing in that direction, printing in that direction, coming back, printing. So it's doing 4 passes. 4 passes is going to be, like I said, production mode. There are different modes where you can print more or less passes depending on how you need the ink to set up or color. Let's say you wanted a deeper saturated color. And then once it's flashed, you can see making sure it's flashed, it's dry, there's no ink on your hand. And again, this would be where you would put a spot color. Let's say you want a deeper black, or you need a neon, or you can even put a special effect like a glitter or something right here. And then the top coat is after this flash, and then you get over there, and then you got to cure it for around 3 minutes at 300, 320 degrees. This is a Quattro. Basically, how it works is it's going to lay the color down first, then it's going to print the white on top. That's the powder. It goes underneath the powder, and then you basically run it through this dryer. What that dryer is going to do is it's going to melt the powder. You're able to then either spool it onto the end roller or cut it out. For example, here you can see we're just cutting them out individually. After that, you go over your heat press, and you would heat press it for 5 to 10 seconds at 275 degrees, and it's a hot peel, so you don't have to wait for it to cool down. I just loaded it up right now. It's going to start printing. So it's going to print the color down first. So we have a choke on this right now. So what that means is instead of having it perfectly lined up with the color, we have it obviously choked in a little bit, and that just helps with registration.
We've seen more, in the last like 3 to 6 months, we've seen more of a DTF kind of requirement for us, but it's primarily always been just screen print, right? So it's good to see like
the different options. Yeah. You know, for me, if I was like, DTF would be something really good on like one of those waterproof jackets where you don't have to pre-flash it to shrink it. And you're not worried about how does it feel because you're wearing already that shell, right? So it breathes a little bit better that way. Some of the harder fabrics, obviously you don't want, like you were saying, a big giant square or rectangle on it.
I mean, and with this concept, you're giving people a lot more freedom in customer satisfaction when it comes to variables like that, you know?
I mean, it's all about making it work for the customer, right? So being able to throw some sort of halftone effect in there to break it up is obviously really beneficial too.
Can we get seated?
Come to my order's office.
Oh, yes. On Discord. Howdy.
Brian, nice to meet you.
Shane, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Shane, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
This is where I sit. I told you. You got the mirror if you want to check yourself out.
Oh.
I got this if you want to do your hair.
There you go.
Your hair.
Number one thing in marketing.
Always be a bad bitch.
What's the number one thing in marketing as a collective, would you guys say is specifically for you?
For me, well, I come to marketing here and I try to represent the company as best as I can and show M&R customers that we make some of the greatest equipment in the world, if not the best equipment in the world. And having the ability to have these types of products to sell makes my job very easy. And so therefore, it's a very fun job, and we get to have a lot of fun here every day. Try to bring that type of energy to everything that we do for M&R.
Yeah, I can already tell from like just being here for a little bit, you guys have a good culture, so.
Thank you.
It definitely translates over. You guys got a box of Shane too?
Yeah, we gotta put it on.
I think Shane's gotta put it on.
He forgot our drones, so he's gonna wear it. No, wrong person.
Oh.
It's gotta be Shane. He forgot the drones.
Shane.
Wait, what?
You're Shane, number 2.
I'm Shane number 2. I don't know why I'm in here, dude. Hey, bud.
Hey, what's up?
Put this on.
And leave it on.
We just found out.
Shane.
Yeah.
Pay it up? That's so funny.
Good.
That's a good ball. Okay, it's a good time. Just finished up our M&R tour here in Chicago. They're obviously the best in the business and the reason why Money Merch uses them for all their machinery. So let us know in the comments below what you guys thought about this tour, and see you on the next one.